Beto O'Rourke got in a truck and brought water and supplies to our community instead. Someone who's not like Governor Beto O'Rourke went and registered voters in communities of color across this state, no matter what. And in a state where we have a right-wing regime that tries to grind us down, that tries to make it like nothing's ever going to get better, that tries to say Texas is always going to stay uncompassionate, Beto stepped up and said, if I'm not giving up, we're not giving up. Because this is our to be the pro-worker capital of the country. We could be the cultural center of this country. We can be a shining model of who we really are instead of being obscured and stepped on by the people of Congress Avenue. Yeah, and people here in East Austin have shown the way. Just last week, we campaigned on $15 an hour, reproductive rights, and a functional electric grid, and got 4 times the votes of anyone else in Texas. And now it's time to convert that same energy into electing Beto O'Rourke, our next governor. So I want y'all to believe, and let's say we believe as we call Beto up, I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
The next governor of the great state of Texas, Beto O'Rourke.
How's everybody doing? Good to be with you. This is awesome. To be with so many good friends and new ones that we're making. Drinking beer under this beautiful sky on a Saturday night in Austin, Texas. The city whose turnout on November 8th is going to drive our victory when we win the big race for the state of Texas. You all ready to do this? I'm ready to do it with you. I got to tell you, it's an honor to be with all these great public servants and elected officials who do you right and distinguish Austin, Texas with their public service. They are the answer to the cruelty, the incompetence, and the corruption that we see in the governor's office today. And I want you to give these folks a big round of applause because they're kicking so much ass. Pero, y además, we have a visitor from another state that did something pretty special in 2020, and then they did it again in 2021, electing 2 Democrats to the U.S. Senate, flipping control of that chamber. We have Nsé Ufot from the New Georgia Project, who's right back here. Nsé, we're so glad you're here. She's one of my heroes. And I'll tell you what, folks. A few years ago, no one gave Georgia a snowball's chance of awarding her electoral college votes to the Democratic nominee for president. Even less could you believe that not 1 but 2 Democrats would win in what was thought to be the most reliably red state, or one of those in the Deep South. And it wasn't the National Party, although we're grateful for them. It wasn't the amount of money, although your donations certainly helped out. It was the power of people. And I've been listening to, and I'm guided by Nsé and others who made sure that they kept the election about the people of Georgia. And the people who won it were those who were willing to knock on the doors and make the phone calls and reach out to those who had been written off or suppressed or intimidated out of their own democracy. That's how they won that race. And ladies and gentlemen, right here in the state of Texas, we have, and no offense to Georgia, but an even greater opportunity. Because get this, in 2020, there were 7 million eligible Texans who did not cast a ballot. Hey, Isaac, is that you? Good to see you. 7 million Texans who could have cast a ballot in the most important, I would say, decisive presidential election since 1864. Now, those 7 million did not vote, not because they were lazy or they had no love for democracy, but this state has tried harder than any other to make it nearly impossible for some to register, to cast a ballot. 750 polling locations closed throughout this state, twice the number of the next closest state, concentrated in the fastest growing Black and Latino neighborhoods across the state of Texas. When you see folks lined up 6 hours deep outside of Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas, and you're tempted to have some pride for those who are willing to wait to cast their ballot, also remember the shame that all of us should feel that anyone has to do that. Además, again, it has gotten worse. This election bill that the governor signed last year makes it even harder. We had a 95-year-old veteran who put his life on the line for this country, fighting fascism half a world away, to defend democracy here at home, who was not able to vote in the state of Texas because we require you now to match the form of ID that you originally used to register with. In his case, 70 years ago, with the one that you have today. That's right, whoever said that's bullshit, that is bullshit. We're doing that tonight. So look, I was in Johnson City earlier today. There's one person who knows where Johnson City is. But there were 320 people who came out in Johnson City today. In a city of 1,600, which is a great sign. And being in Johnson City reminds us that it was Lyndon Baines Johnson who grew up in that community, who lived here in Austin, Texas, who represented this community in the Congress, then in the United States Senate, and then once in the White House. He was willing to listen to people like us, and people like John Lewis, who on the 7th of March of 1965 was willing to give his life for this country, just like that veteran who's 95 years old today was willing to do in 1944 when he landed on those beaches in Normandy. LBJ, inspired by John Lewis, inspired by the people of Texas, who had been forced to sit out elections because of the color of their skin or their country of national origin, he called the Congress together 8 days after Bloody Sunday. And he said, men and women of the Senate and the House, you have the power to confer that right to vote. That's all that they're asking for. That's all that we need to get this country on the right track. And the Texan was able to stand up to the challenge that was created in this state in the first place and overcome it. That is our challenge today. The most voter suppressive state in the Union has the very people who are going to rescue us. It's not going to come from the Department of Justice. We won't see it from the Supreme Court. No one's riding from outside to our rescue from anywhere else. This is up to you, to me, and to our fellow Texans. And to any pollster or prognosticator or pundit who tries to tell you what's impossible, just remember the words of Joe Strummer from our great band, The Clash, who says, the future is unwritten. It is up to us to determine our future, our fortune, and our fate. And seeing you here tonight, 8 months away from the election of our lifetimes, so fired up, so ready to do what it takes after you finish that beer, to go knock on doors, make phone calls, reach out to those voters, those 7 million, and invite them into this democracy. And in your own words, from your own heart, tell them why this election is so damn important to you. The things that bring us together in this fractured moment, like making sure that the best jobs in America are created right here in the state of Texas, or that we have the backs of our public school educators.
Get ready!
Right
Yeah, teachers!
cancel the start,
Yeah! That's right!
expand Medicaid so more people can see a doctor.
Yeah!
And I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but we are going to legalize weed when I am the governor. Tell them that's what we're going to do. These aren't issues that push us apart, pit us against one another. These are the things that are going to bring us together and do the big work of Texas. But in order to do that, we've got to get past the guy who's in the highest position of power in the state of Texas. The guy who literally could not guarantee that the power could come to the people when he had the opportunity. And after 700 people at least lost their lives, and we've seen tens of billions of dollars of damage to our homes, because not only did the lights not turn on, the heat stopped running, the water froze in our pipes, and then when they unfroze, they burst, and they flooded the homes of our fellow Texans. This guy still has not fixed the grid, or weatherized the supply, or gone after those who took $11 billion in illegal profits for themselves, the largest transfer of wealth in Texas history. I promise you this, I will make sure that my only interest is yours and your families, not the corporations, not the mega donors. We're going to make sure that we keep the lights on in Texas. We get that money back for you. We make sure that the person in that highest position of public trust is focused only on the people of Texas. And you won't have to worry about bans on reproductive health care and $10,000 bounties on the backs of those who try to help women make their own decisions. When I'm governor, every woman's making her own decisions about her own body, her own health, and her own future. We're going to get this right. But it's going to take all of us doing all we can with what we have, where we are. We started this tonight with the $25 that you have chipped in, and I'm grateful to you for it. It's the kind of grassroots support. It's going to allow us to raise the resources to reach those voters who are going to decide the outcome of this election. I want you to take the next step and sign up to become a volunteer. One of those who will be at the doors. Look, the TV ads are great and maybe necessary. No offense, TV folks. The mailers that we'll send out, well, we got to reach folks through the U.S. mail as well. The stuff on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and the dances that are going to blow your mind on TikTok, that's the way to reach young people. But when you show up at someone's door, face to face, person to person, human being to human being, there's nothing more powerful or transformational. When those 7 million were asked why they did not vote, the number one reason given was that no one showed up at their door and invited them in. We cannot make that mistake in this race. There are 55,000 volunteers who signed up so far in 2022. That is light years ahead of where we were in 2018. I want you to be part of this army, and we're going to make sure that we deploy you now, not hold you in reserve for the fall or October or even November. We're going to get after it and meet those voters where they are. Here are some signs of good news. So not only do we have all these great volunteers, we've been able to almost match Greg Abbott dollar for dollar in what we're raising day to day. 160,000 unique individual donors all across this state and some outside of this state. Thank you, NSA, and the folks in Georgia who are helping us out as well. And everywhere we go, whether it was in Johnson City today, whether it was Victoria yesterday, whether it was Nacogdoches the day before, folks are showing up in huge numbers. And they're talking about the same things that we're talking about tonight. Great jobs, world-class schools, the ability to expand Medicaid so more people can see a doctor. That's what I want you to share with those folks who are out there that you meet along the way. Last thing, because I know that this is the most important thing on everyone's mind. Look, Beto, we love the energy. We love the policy. We agree with you on almost everything, but can you pull this off? A couple of things that I want you to remember. Can we turn the volume down just a little bit? A couple of things that I want you to remember. One, when all of us came together in 2018, when we listened to and showed up for young people especially, we produced together the largest voter turnout in Texas since 1970. Young voter turnout was up 500%. We helped to elect 12 new Democrats to the state legislature to join these amazing leaders right here. We helped to elect 2 new members of Congress from Texas that helped to flip control of the lower house in Washington, D.C. 17 black women elected to judgeships in Harris County alone, changing the face of criminal justice in that community. That is the base upon which we are building right now. No one thought that was possible before, and we made it happen. Here are 3 things, though, that are different this year than in 2018. Number 1, we are investing heavily, thanks to your help, in data, so that we know where those 7 million eligible non-voting Texans live, and we send you to their doors. If you are a Beto voter and you vote in 10 out of 10 elections, we will not spend a dime on you. If you are a persuadable Republican who is sick and tired of this extreme fringe agenda from Greg Abbott, we're going to make sure that we have a conversation. If you're an independent, we want to make sure that we're talking to you every day between now and November 8th. That data helps us to target you. In 2018, we didn't have it and we didn't use it. The second thing, you heard me talk about jobs, great schools, and the ability to expand Medicaid. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the message. Those are the things I'm hearing back from people, whether we're in Trey Mendez's hometown of Brownsville, Texas, one of the greatest mayors in this state, by the way. That's what we're hearing in deep East Texas, West Texas, North Texas, big cities, small towns alike. Help me carry that message. We're going to stay very disciplined. It's the perfect contrast to the wacko extremism of the current governor. His fixation on targeting and bullying transgender kids right now, or going after the constitutional rights of women, or in a state that has seen more cops gunned down than in any other, allowing any Texan to carry a loaded gun in public without a background check or any vetting or training whatsoever. Instead of that craziness, we're going to bring us back to the things that matter most to the people in the state. Those three things, repeat them with me when you're talking to folks out there. And then the last one. When we were together in 2018 and the topic of Ted Cruz came up, I would say something like, you know what? You have already formed your opinion of the guy. There's precious little that I can add to it. Let's focus on the future, right? We left a lot of votes on the table. The folks in rural Texas, they needed to know that their schools were under attack by someone who wanted to convert their public school tax dollars into vouchers and send them to private schools. The rural hospitals, 24 of which have closed down since 2005, could have been reopened if that guy would have fought for healthcare spending in this state. We only lost by 2.6%. We could have gotten those voters if we prosecuted the case. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to make that mistake this time. Every day, every night, every hour of this campaign, Greg Abbott is going to be on the ropes. We'll put him on the back foot. We'll prosecute the case and make sure every Texan knows that when you're paying higher utility bills, $45 on average per month, that's the Abbott tax, and it's because of that guy in power. When we look at those who had damage from the winter storm, that is Greg Abbott. When we see 7 out of 10 fourth graders not able to read at grade level, it's because he's not paying our school teachers what they're worth. And they're working 2 hours just to make ends meet. That is Greg Abbott. We're going to make sure that we make the case that Texas has to fire this guy, hire all of us, and we're going to get Texas on the right track. You all with me on this? All right, let's do this. Let's drink some beer. Let's have a great time. Let's have a wonderful hangover tomorrow, and then let's start knocking on doors. You with me?
All right, everyone. The inside bar is open, the outside bar is open, and then we're going to be taking pictures with Beto at that Texas flag right over there. So if someone can form a line, the start of the line.